Let's apply to Lane Community College. We'll start on the Oregon Goes to College website, and from the College Info menu tab, choose Apply to College. That takes us to a page that has a lot of really good information about what we can do to prepare to apply, including a list of materials or documents that we may need to have in front of us in order to complete those application forms, and some tips and tricks for things that we can do to do that successfully. So I know that I'm planning to apply to Lane, and I've already gathered the information that I need, so I am going to scroll down to a table that has a list of all of the colleges in the state and find Lane on the list. I'm going to click that button and it takes me directly to the college's website and to a page on their website where I can start the application process. The first thing that they ask me is to identify my goal at Lane, and for me, I'm planning to graduate in the spring of 2021 and then enter college the following fall. And I'd like to earn a 2-year degree, so I think I might like to transfer to a 4-year institution. So for me, this first button is what my goal is. You'll want to read through these if that's not your goal and find the one that is yours. So I'll click there, and then it asks me what kind of student I am, and you'll choose the one that is right for you. For me, I am a new student. I have not yet attended Lane, and I can get started applying. It lets me know that I have 4 steps to enroll, and that is from this moment until I step foot on campus to take my classes. And today I'm going to do the first step, which is the admissions application. After this, I'm not done. I have some things that I need to do as I go through the process, but today we have just this one step, and that is the admissions application. So I'll go ahead and click the big orange button and begin the process. Okay, so first step is to let them know when I plan to enroll. And on this particular application, it doesn't yet have the option for fall of 2021, which is when I plan to enroll. I'll graduate in the spring of 2021 and enroll in the fall of 2021. Don't currently have that option, so I'm going to choose the one that's closest. But hopefully by the time you're applying, it will include the term that you want of fall 2021. Then I provide my name, and here I'm going to provide my full legal name. That's the name that is on my legal records, like my high school transcript or my driver's license if I have one, and I want to make sure that I'm using that so that they can easily connect all of my information from different forms together. And I will click to fill out the application. Now, I have an application checklist that tells me all the different things that I'm going to need to provide, or the different steps that I'm going to need to take to fill this out. These are links, so I can move between them and I don't have to go in order, but I'm going to, just because it's going to take me step by step through it. Once I have completed a section, then this is going to turn into a check mark to let me know that it's done. And they also want me to know that if I have questions, I can email and get some help. So let's go ahead and get started with the first section here of name. And you'll notice that the information that I've already provided has already been filled in, and so I just need to provide some additional information here. And that includes a suffix. So a suffix is the end of a name that includes things like junior or senior or a number. So if you have that, you'll provide that there. I don't have it, I'll leave it blank. A former last name or a former family name. This is if I have changed my name for any reason, what was the previous name? So common reasons for that to happen are marriage or adoption. But if I've only ever had one last name, I'll leave that blank. And then this, my name, this is my preferred name, the name that I want the college to use whenever they are communicating with me, except where they are required to use my legal name. So here I do have a name that I prefer people call me and use, and so I'm going to enter that here. If you have one, you can do the same, and click continue. I do have the option to go back to the checklist Clicking this blue button will save the information that I've shared and take me back to that checklist I was just on. But I'm ready to keep going, so go ahead and click the green button and move to the next, which is address or phone. Address and phone. And in the first section, I'm providing my permanent or my main address. So this is where I want to receive some information. I'll go ahead and enter that here. The second line of an address is a good place to put in an apartment number if you have one. And go ahead and include a city, a state, and a zip code. Now I got to this by just clicking the O button to find the Oregon options, but you can also use the drop-down menu to get there as well. And a phone number, and this is they're asking for a permanent phone number, so the phone number that I use regularly. Whoa, too many numbers. And if I was not in the US, I would have a country code for my phone number, but I am in the US, so I don't, and I'll click continue. Oh, one quick note that I didn't mention before is that there are red asterisks next to questions that are required, and I won't be able to move on in the application until I've completed them. If there isn't a red asterisk or star, then the application does not require me to complete that section to move on. However, it might be a good idea to do so, and this is an example of that. They're asking for my social security number. That's SSN, is social security number, and it is not required to have a social security number to attend or apply to Lane. However, if you have one and if you are applying for federal financial aid, they will require your social security number, and it is much easier to provide that now than to come back and add it at another time. So I am going to go ahead and enter my social security number there, my email address, and this is the email address that I'm using for all of my college information, and I am checking it at least twice a week so that I can stay on top of things. They're also asking me to verify that email address by typing it in again one more time, and precisely for the reason that I just typed it incorrectly, and they want to make sure that that doesn't happen. So I caught myself, but if I hadn't, the system would alert me to that. Now they're asking for my cell phone number. I already provided that before, but I will offer it again. And if before you gave a landline number or somebody else's phone number as your permanent number, that's a good time to add your own cell phone number here if you have one. Looking for my birth date, so I will use the drop-down menu for that. And there's a question here about legal sex, and there are several asterisks, and so I think that that means that if I scroll down, there will be some information about what that means. That is not the case, and so legal sex, this is required again for financial aid purposes, and so you can choose to prefer not to answer. You can choose that as your option, or you can choose the one that you identify with if one of those is accurate for you. And then they're interested in knowing why I want to attend Lane. And for me, it is, I would like to transfer to a four-year school. You may have a different reason, and so you'll want to read through those and choose the one that is right for you. Questions about race and ethnicity are not required. I'm going to choose to answer them, and you can make a choice to do that or not. So I'll go ahead and choose those, and then the race questions, and I can choose multiple options if I identify with multiple, and I will click continue. This is the fourth checklist item, so I'm more than halfway through, and the question is, what do I want to, what's my goal? And for me, again, my goal is to earn a degree or certificate at Lane and then transfer to another college, but you may have another option of what your plans are, and so you'll choose the one that is right for you. I do plan to apply for financial aid, and again, you'll answer that for you. And interested in knowing what's my area of interest in terms of academic study. And this area of interest, it is a link, and it is a link to some more information about these different areas of interest. So if you don't yet know, it'd be a good idea to click on this link and read through that to come up with your thoughts on that. For me, I'm going to choose social science and then choose what I'm hoping to do for my studies. What kind of certificate or associate's degree do I want? And for me, I'm looking for an Associate of Arts and Organ Transfer. So that's the 2-year degree that will allow me to transfer to a 4-year college. And I think I'm going to choose General Social Science. You'll choose the one that's right for you and click Continue. Now here's some information, and there's a big yellow box here that describes a law that Oregon has that is about requiring colleges and universities to have the option to give students and staff the option to report gender identity and sexual orientation. And as a result of that, you're going to find those questions on your application. They are optional. You do not have to answer them if you don't want to, but you are certainly welcome to. Regardless of what you do, the information will be confidential, and it's your choice. So let's move on, but there is that big yellow box and you can read through that for more information. Okay, so this first question about student or visitor visas, this is a question about for international students. So if you are a U.S. citizen or permanent resident, your answer will be no. If you are not a U.S. citizen or permanent resident and you have a visa to be in the United States, either a student visa or a visitor visa, then you will choose yes. If you are not a U.S. citizen or permanent resident and you do not have a visa, you will choose no. Residency is about determining what tuition rates you'll have. So Oregon residents have in-state tuition, and so this is the opportunity for you to say that yes, you are an Oregon resident or a resident of another state where there may be reduced tuition rates. And so I live in Oregon, but not in Lane County, and so I'm going to choose Oregon, not Lane County. If you live in Lane County, you'll choose that one. Question about parents, step-parents, or guardians having earned a 4-year college degree. This is the college's question about whether or not I'll be the first in my family to do so. And for me, the answer is no. None of my parents or guardians have done that, so I'll say no. And I am not a veteran, and that's a veteran of the U.S. Armed Services or the military. And then these are those questions about gender and sexual orientation that were mentioned up in this yellow box. So for me, I'm going to make a choice on one, and I'm not going to choose to answer the other, but you can, and you can also prefer not to answer. So your choice. And you can prefer not to answer on this first one as well. And go ahead and click Continue. Next, we are going to share some information about our high school. And the first thing is that I'm noticing is that there's not a place for me to type my high school's name in. Instead, they're asking for a high school code. So every high school in the country has a code, and it is a 6-digit number. And I can enter that code, and then they'll know what high school I go to. If I don't know that code, I can look it up. So let's do that. Going to choose the state, and for me that is Oregon, and then click the button to list cities, and then I'll have a drop-down menu that lists every city in Oregon, and I can scroll down to find my city and then list every high school in that city, which brings me to a drop-down menu of all of the high schools in the city that I live in, and I'll choose my high school. And then I can copy that information into the data entry form. So when I click that button, it takes me back to the page I was on, and my 6-digit code is there. So they now know what high school I went to. I am not homeschooled, so I'm going to leave that checkbox blank, but if you are, you can go ahead and click that. And then, and a note, virtual or remote learning is not homeschool if you are enrolled in a high school this year. you'll want to choose your high school code that you're enrolled in. And I plan to graduate in June of 2021. And I will have earned a high school diploma or GED when I start classes at Lane. Click continue. The last checklist item is about previous college experience. I don't have any of that. I haven't taken any college classes, and so I'm going to leave this entire section blank. But if you do, then this works exactly the same way as the high school one did. Every college also has a code, and if I don't know it, I will look up the college code using the same system that I did for high school, and it will enter that. If you cannot find the college information by looking up the code, then you'll type the information in here. If you have more than one college to enter, you will fill the first one out and then click this blue button to add another. If you are like me and don't have that, all we have to do is click that green button. And now we're back to this page and we have a whole lot of red check marks to say we've completed everything. And I can click the application is complete button. We're so close to being done. And now I have an admissions agreement. And this agreement says that I have provided accurate and complete information and that I have shared all the information that I have. And if that is true, then I will click I agree to the terms. And when I do that, I have applied to Lane Community College. And when you do it, you'll have applied too. Congratulations.